Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K, aka Trendcrusher. First up, a huge thanks to everyone who tuned in to the last episode. It was an Indian music special in commemoration of the 77th Independence Day of India. Yeah, so glad to see everyone kind of liked the episode. Definitely going to put out more mixtapes like that in the coming days. But on to today's episode, I had a chance to speak to JF of the Canadian extreme metal act Kataklysm, and they have a new album out, Goliath. So got a chance to speak to him about that production. I mean, honestly, I could do a complete different episode with him just on production, but it's great to speak to a band who's been around for so long and are still at it, still staying consistent with their sound. So I think that's enough of an introduction. Here's my chat with JF.
And I'm joined by JF from the mighty Cataclysm. Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I must ask, it's great, first of all, to speak to you. When I was in university, I spent some time in Canada. And if you lived in
Awesome.
Canada, there's no way you can kind of get away from Cataclysm. And it's so great to kind of fucking speak to you. You're in anticipation of your 15th studio album, Goliath. So
Yes,
I know this is going to be a little starting off on a nostalgic note, but does it really feel like it's been your 15th album?
it's weird because like I feel like that where did the time go? Like it's a bit insane because I mean we started this band, we were a high school band, all of us going to the same high school, and we met there, and we started this thing just like any kids that would start a band would, and we had barely any experience of playing instruments, let alone being in a band. And we went into the studio, we recorded our first demo, and not long after got a record deal with a big record label, with Nuclear Blast Records, and then released our first EP, the demo, which was the demo as an EP, and then our very first album, and then they threw us out on the world on the road, and that was quite insane because we were all super young and still going to high school. So, and now you look back and we're like about to release another record. I find it crazy because if you would ask me, like, if you would ask like 15, 16-year-old JF, would do you think you would still be in a band at around, like, we're mid 40s now, and we're still playing, touring, putting out records? I find it insane. Like back in those days, I would never have guessed we would have lasted this long as a band. But now I look back and it seems like it was super quick because time flies by when you're having fun, I guess, and you enjoy what you do. So it's pretty awesome to be still playing after all these years. I find it, in a way, it's really beautiful to have all of us still wanting to do it, because there's probably a million reasons that wouldn't make us stop playing music, but we still love it so much that like we have to do it. It's in our blood still, and I think we still have some more years to do it as well. I always told the guys, like, I think when we don't have fun anymore, that's when we call it quits. But for now, it's still really fun for us to do this.
Yeah, and I want to pick up from that, right? Because I got an advance copy of Goliath, and
Okay.
listening to it, I can tell you guys are having fun, right? Because there is still that Cataclysm sound that you're known for, and I love how you guys, I'm not sure which exact part of your career, kind of termed yourselves the Northern Hyperblast, and you kind of owned that, right? Because like now you know that there's certain elements that you expect with a
Uh-huh.
Cataclysm album, and that's still there. Uh, and I mean, like, I must say, it's like relentless. Like, there's no, because there was, and I'm sure you remember the time where you literally had like a black metal or a death metal album, and the first track was an intro and the last track was an outro, right? But
Yeah.
like this is like straight up death fucking metal. Uh, I must ask you then, right? I mean, like, of course, the most obvious thing is that you guys are no longer teenagers. You guys
Yeah.
have been touring, have been recording. What's different this time around, or what did you find different this time around while recording or writing Goliath?
Well, there's a few factors that came into play on this record. One of them is we have a new drummer, James Payne. He's been with the band for about 2 years now, but prior to this record, we only played live together and toured. So we're really bonded, and we have this new brotherhood with him. He's really part of us, even though he's 10 years younger, but he feels just right in the band, personality wise. Everything works, and musically wise as well, because he really gets what we're doing. And also he's such a good drummer, and he pushes us, he drives us, and to be on our toes, because the speed he's able to perform and the things he's able to do gives us like some sort of free creativity range, I guess, because no matter what comes to our mind, we know that he's able to play it. Like he is, it's like we really can push it to the next level. So I find this new Cataclysm it's like Cataclysm on steroids, and he's part of that because of the way he's playing. We're able to push the boundaries a little further of the hyperblast, but we have like, as I call it, like you said, like we have a lot of those elements in there. We try to stay true and relevant to our roots, but at the same time, we love to incorporate tons of new things and try different things. And last album for Unconquered, I started messing around a little bit with the 7-string guitars. I never have before that point, and I really enjoyed the new. I think you can hear. I think it makes a difference in many different parts, because it brings a lot of different things also to the table. Like it's a combination of many things that made this record what it is, but I'm super happy. I think it sounds killer, and we're all super still. Even when we finished the last track on the record, I think I wrote like 3 or 4 more already for the next one. I'm super in a writing mode, and I'm super inspired right now. Like I don't have an inspiration flowing all the time. Like sometimes I try to write something and it doesn't work. But lately this year, I don't know what it is, but I just have some great ideas, and so I kept writing, and I'm gonna keep writing, and who knows, maybe we'll have another record eventually coming, but now we're gonna focus on this one and try to push it as hard as we can, because we're really proud of it.
Yeah, and theme wise also, it's quite interesting with the whole David and Goliath story, right? I wanted to tap in a bit, right? Because the press release came with a note which attributes this quote to your frontman and singer, Maurizio, where he says that, it's an album that searches deep within questioning things that are happening on a global scale, but also inside society itself. And like, take me through that thought, right? Because let's be honest, with death metal, with black metal, there are the usual tropes, there are the usual topics, right? And I mean, like a great example I can use is like, I believe there's a new Deicide album, and you don't have to think what a new Deicide album is going to be about, right? Like they've been just like added in there. So when it comes to like themes or lyrics and stuff like that, like how does that work within the band, if you could kind of share? And especially on Goliath, how did you all kind of approach it this time around?
Well, I mean, we had a lot of talks within the band, because like this whole world shutdown happened, and you start questioning yourself and questioning what's happening, and you start going down that rabbit hole, and you discover a bunch of crazy theories that some of them are very far-fetched, and you're like, of course this is insane. But then there's some other stuff that you get interested in, and you start connecting some dots, and like a lot of things are angering because none of this is it's all beyond your control, and there's literally nothing you can really do about it. And that's how the teams of David versus Goliath came out, like the small guy versus this big evil guy, the evil machine, which could mean different things to you, but for us it was kind of that. Plus you talk to many people around the world, and they all feel something's off, something's weird, like that something's not right with what's going on right now. And so we started elaborating on that within the album, and we have a lot of those conversations on tour with beers after the shows, and we look at the news and things happen like live as we see it day by day, and we're like, wow, really? And you see certain things that like 6 months before were like quoted conspiracy theories, and then 6 months later it's not anymore. It's things happen, and you're like, holy shit. you go and then you let yourself into that world. And I mean, we like to try to understand what's going on as much as we can. Of course, it's not always possible to have all the information because we don't, but you can somewhat have a bit of a picture for it. But what I can say is that like it's really hard to come with the fact that like you really have very little control on these things. And I think the important thing is, as a society and as metalheads, because that's what we do, it's to push back and ask questions when things are wrong. And I know that for a fact that the next time something crazy like that will happen, I'm gonna try to figure it out before like saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay in my house for 2 years and do nothing. And it's important to that we all get together and push back these things, because otherwise they will do whatever they want to do with the world, and it's not going to be a good thing, in my opinion. And it's like you can see your freedom getting taken away little by little. It's getting chipped at, and then eventually to a point where you're like, wow, it's really happening. They really did this. And I don't know. I mean, Goliath for us, it's also we're musicians, we're a metal band, and putting these themes within the music, I think it's perfect for a metal. There's a lot of anger in there. There's a lot um, of I guess looking for, like, I mean, we speak our truth, and I mean, some people might not agree with what we have to say, but I really believe that we're onto something with all that, and hopefully it touches people. And my goal is not to have a complete uprising, but it's more so to have people like ask questions and look around them and try to see what's happening for what it is. And that I guess that's our point with this record, with the band.
Yeah, and just to build like what you're saying, right? I mean, like, the whole reason when I look back as to why you got into metal was to be anti-establishment, to like question things, to be non-conformist, right? But then like
exactly,
it's weird when you see some of those exact things you stand for not kind of being in. But
yeah,
okay,
exactly. It's yeah. I don't want to go too much into that, but yeah, there's this thing in the world right now that seems to be like so anti all that, and it's people are supporting it, and we're like, wow, really? It's really it amazes me in some ways. But I think people should look beyond just what they see in front of them. They have to look to the next level of layer. But I think in a way, metalheads, like you said, we're smart people. We look at things, we question things, and I think it's interesting to see that.
okay, we've talked a bit about the album, so I think let's give our listeners a taste of it.
Okay.
Which track would you like to play off Goliath, and what would be the significance for you? If you could share that, that'd be great.
Well, our first two singles, I'm really proud of them. That came out, "Bring Her Vengeance" and "Die as a King." I can go a little bit into the meaning of those songs. If you've seen the videos online, the first one, "Die as a King," which is kind of the prequel, is it's the story of this king that sits in his castle, but there's a war going on, but he already lost the war. He knows that the end is coming, and he chose, instead of fleeing, he chose to stand up for what he believes in, even though he knows he's gonna die, and take off his armor, takes his sword, and he jumps in, and he fights till the end. And that's what the song is about: fighting for what you believe in, and even though you know it might not be uh, good a good outcome in the end, but I think it's, for us, in many ways, when you apply this to your life, like, the only possible outcome, even if you lose, is to fight till the end. So that's the meaning behind "Die as a King." And
Thanks for sharing that, JF. I think it's time we give our listeners a taste of Die as a King. And that was Die as a King, the first single from Kataklysm's latest album, Goliath. Back to my chat with JF. JF, one of the cool things also, and one thing I was very excited to talk to you about is the production aspect. And
Awesome.
I want to just like quickly understand, because one of the things I always wonder with musicians who also work on their own band music and others' music also, how do you kind of draw that distinction? Because you've produced and engineered this album, right? How do you kind
Yeah.
of draw the distinction between, okay, this is Cataclysm, these are other bands? Or is it all just kind of like the same to you?
Well, the thing is as the process, the way we work, because we all live in different cities, so we don't get to sit together in a room often, unless when we're on tour and things like that. Or sometimes we'll make a trip and see each other for a few days. But the way we work is I often write the initial ideas of the songs, like the some of the parts and the structures, that is kind of like a primitive structure of what it's going to be in the end. And then I send that to the guys, and I'm able to write all the parts, like the drums, bass, everything, and I make a little demo because I have all the gear in my studio, and I present that to the guys, and then they will comment on it and bring their ideas. And now this is when I put my producer at in, and I kind of have to listen to everybody and try to take all the best ideas and see how we can put this together into a song. And I think we've been doing it for so long as a band, and me as a producer, that it's a no-brainer. We kind of know. And it's I think when I have my producer on, I have to make certain calls, and sometimes I'm so sure, because I think that a big part of it is about seeing the big picture, and I think I'm really good at that when it comes to music. So the guy trusts me with most of my calls. And sometimes if they disagree, then I'll listen, and we talk to each other. And in the end, it's a band decision. But I often have like that vision of how things should be, musically at least. And when things are pieced together, I can really give a big input. Often I give my input as a guitar player, or I give it as a producer, which is two different angles. But I'll tell the guys, like, this is the producer speaking, or this is the guitar player speaking. And I think we all know each other for so long that it works really well. And then the second part to this is whenever we're agreed on the songs, and then we start recording. But then I have to kind of coach the guys a little bit and tell them, like, okay, stop, like, you're doing this wrong. Like the bass player, I'll teach him like the riffs, but I'll tell him, like, I play it more harder or softer depending on the part, and get all the notes right in and things like that. And I get to be a bit of the bad guy, but I'm good at it, and I think that's why the guys trust me with that part of the job. And same with Mauricio, I have to tell him when he did a bad take or did a great take, and I have to sit there and most of the times I'll because he's recording next to me in this little vocal booth, and whenever he did something good, we'll look at each other and be like we would give the thumbs up, and we know it's a good take. And sometimes I'm like, no, this is way off time. Like, let's try it again with a different phrasing or things like that. But it's these little things. But I think little details make or break a record, and you have to pay attention to the details. And I guess that's my job in this whole environment, or the structure that we have as a band.
I realized that I could do like a separate podcast with you just on the production aspect, but I'm going to be mindful of time, and I'm going to ask you two very simple questions.
Okay.
One is, in support of your album release, I noticed you are doing limited capacity shows in Germany, in Munich and Essen. What are you looking forward to that? Because I mean, like, it's strange also that you would do a limited capacity, but also in a time like this, it may make sense. So tell me about that.
Well, at first, when we got the idea, it was we got booked. I think we have like 12 open air shows in Europe this summer, and we're gonna be in Europe already, and we have a lot of German festivals booked planned, and we were like, okay, maybe it would be cool to play a release show in there, and the idea turned into 2 release shows because we thought, okay, let's do small clubs like almost like garage style places where our initial idea was to do it for free, but obviously financially wasn't doable. So we have a low ticket price, and we're giving out the album if you're coming to those shows. But the idea was to be like a bit grassroots about the shows themselves, and go back to our roots and play small places with full of people, because we know it's going to sell out and it's going to be great energy, and it's a great way to present the new songs. We're going to play like a few of them on those release dates, and at the same time we're just going to have a good time and meet our fans. Like they're planning a little bit of a meet and greet thing, and we're really going to spend time with everybody, probably hang out in the room and chat with our fans and see what they have to say about the record and all that. And that was the idea, like doing something cool. And you originally was supposed to be just one night, but then they liked the idea, so we did it twice. Then we had 2 nights of open for this on our touring schedule. So we chose Munich because it's one of our favorite city to play in Germany. And then there's this bar in Essen that often we go to hang out after our shows when we play that area. So we play a bigger venue, then we go hang out at that bar because it's a metal bar that's super fun, and they always offer us a bunch of drinks, and the fans are great, and the people we meet there are awesome. And we thought, like, why not play there, and it would be awesome just to play a small show there, and that's what we're gonna do. And then obviously come back and do a proper tour probably early next year, because the goal is, I know the album's released in August, and everybody's anxious for us to be back and playing, and we are as well. But we actually played already 75 shows this year.
Yeah.
Since February. So all the guys were like, man, it would be cool to kind of stay home in the fall and have a few months with our family. So that's what we're gonna do. But we're gonna start early next year and go back out there and play for the new album. So we're gonna be probably in Europe first, then in the US. There's talks about it, and then hopefully come back to Australia and play some shows for you guys, because it's always wonderful whenever we come. We've been here a few times, and we always enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. I have to sneak in this last question. So let's do this. When you started off, you talked about being as a high school band, right? And just being teenagers. You guys have played festivals, toured around the world, released 15 albums. What's left unchecked?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, we already went way beyond any dream I would have had as a teenager. If I could speak to 14-year-old me and ask, and tell him, like, hey, you're gonna do all these things and you're gonna have this crazy career and go all around the world and play in front of 100,000 people and play with your favorite bands, I would have been like, no way, there's no way like all of this would happen. But a lot of it, like a lot of crazy things happen. And for me, I think, like we spoke a little bit earlier, is just the very fact that we're still here doing what we love is amazing to me, and I'll cherish it till we can no more. And I mean, at some point, like, some of us are not going to want to do this anymore, and and it's perfectly fine. And whenever we don't have fun doing it, then that's going to be the time we gonna hang up. But before that time comes, I think we're just gonna enjoy our lives and enjoy what we do, and as best as we can. And I feel privileged to have had this great career. it's impossible to the things that happen would be unthinkable when we started, and it's awesome to still be here and to make a living out of this. Like technically, we all live from the band and it's just mind blowing. Like four guys from high school in Canada, and 30 years later, like playing together as friends still, and having a good time doing it, and it's nothing bad about it.
And I think that's a great note to call it a wrap on this chat. But more power to you guys, and totally awesome speaking to you, JF. Really appreciate it.
Same here. Thank you for the time. And
okay, JF, we've had a great chat, but since you talked about 2 singles earlier, we have to play the second single from the album Goliath. Tell us more about Bringer of Vengeance.
Sometimes it's in the video you see the little kid, which is the king's son, and he starts training because his goal is to take his revenge on his dad, and that happened at the end of the track. And the song is about revenge, but it's about, like, sometimes it's a meal best served cold, and you have to really work it. And I mean, it's these things happen in life, but there's things that you must let go, but there's certain things you can't let go, and this is a song for that. So Bringer of Vengeance.
With no remorse, I will honor
bit crazy to think about it, but I've been listening to Kataklysm for close to 20 years now. And yeah, it was nice to hear that, JF and the rest of the band are still as enthusiastic about making extreme metal music, and yeah, just want to play live as many places as possible. So let me know what you think of this episode. As always, I'm going to leave the question box on Spotify if you're listening through that, or you can hit me up on trendcrusher@gmail.com, or just get in touch with me via my social media. I'm Trendcrusher on most platforms, just search for me. Lots more interviews like this coming up very soon, so keep following, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.